Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick comparison between the Sony NEX6 on the left and the Sony A7 on the right. These are both mirrorless interchangeable lens cameras built around Sony's E-mount. However, the A7 on the right, the more expensive camera of the two, is a full-frame mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, Sony's first. It launched alongside the higher resolution and more expensive A7R. This one in particular, the A7, has a 24 megapixel sensor, the same one found in Sony's A99 and RX1, slightly tweaked, a new processing engine. The NEX6, on the other hand, part of the NEX brand, which was basically the beginning of Sony's mirrorless business, based around APS-C size sensors, which were really unmatched and set an entirely new expectation and standard for their form factor in the photography world, in both still and video imaging, in my opinion. And the NEX6 represents the culmination in many ways of that development of their digital imaging up until the launch of the A7, and eventually the brand new NEX replacement models, which will be branded as alpha cameras in the beginning of 2014. So, what am I really trying to compare here? I'm not actually trying to say, well, the NEX6 is better than the A7 or vice versa, because after all, we're looking at a full-frame camera on the right that's in a completely different league than the APS-C sensor camera on the left. This video is more about trying to answer the question that I think a lot of current NEX owners are trying to figure out, which is, should they move to the A7? I know a lot of you have been waiting for the replacement to the NEX7, which I would have called the culmination of the NEX brand, but the 6 is the newest or latest, even though it's an old camera now at this point, definitely got some age on it, in the NEX lineup. And there still is not an NEX camera with Wi-Fi and NFC and a viewfinder. I mean, the NEX5T was the first NEX camera to incorporate Wi-Fi and NFC, which has become a hallmark now on all of Sony's brand new cameras, particularly even the A7 and A7R. But we're yet to see that NEX or now alpha camera that will be APS-C, E-mount based, and have all of the new bonuses of a new sensor and all sorts of technology, whether it's integrated touchscreen, that we were talking about many months ago. And really, my short answer to this question is the A7 is not meant for you. If you've been working in the E-mount traditional, the original E-mount class, even though this uses it as well, it does use full-frame E-mount lenses. So if I wanted to take my power zoom 18-200 and throw it on the A7, I can, but it changes the focal range, it crops the image. We're only going to get a 10 megapixel image rather than the 24 full-frame sensor is able to accommodate. So there are all sorts of trade-offs with starting to do that. It also seems appealing at face value because there aren't a lot of full-frame lenses. You're looking at the kit lens here. This package is $2,000. When the NEX6 launched, the body was $900 alone. If you bought the kit, you were looking at slightly more. And basically, again, we're comparing full-frame to APS-C, and there's so much more photographic data and detail in the full frame, and also the difference in depth of field, I won't say is night and day, but pretty big difference between full frame and APS-C. So that's another major difference. But to get back to what I was saying originally, the A7 is not the replacement to the NEX7. If you're still waiting on a new E-mount camera, and by E-mount I mean the new alphas that will be APS-C based, wait, because Sony is going to produce plenty of different models. This brand, the NEX brand, even though the name has been dropped, has not been forgotten. In fact, it's where it all began. It is still the bread and butter. If you think Sony's going to make all of their money selling $2,000 and $2,400 cameras, or $2,300 cameras, that's the cost of the body for the A7R. The 36 megapixel version of this camera, by the way, both of which are weather sealed, no NEXs have been, but I would probably guess there's a chance that the top-of-the-line alpha APS-C camera that will replace the NEX7 and whatever will replace the NEX6, we may see weather sealing there, because Sony's been integrating weather sealing into everything, even their tablets. They want to make sure that you can enjoy your electronics anywhere you go. The reason I really had these side by side is form factor. Granted, this is an 18-200 millimeter power zoom lens that has a motor built into it for 3 different levels of actual zoom speed, and this is just a kit piece of glass, it gives you an idea of how much larger these full frame E-mount lenses are going to be, because this is only a kit piece of glass that goes from 28 to 70 millimeters. Granted, this is a true 35 millimeter standard as opposed to the crop factor you have with APS-C sensors, because they are smaller. But still, this should give you that size comparison and really give you an idea of that why the NEX cameras were so popular, and now the alpha cameras are also so popular, because when you look at the form factor, they are exceedingly close to one another in terms of design, the actual bulk, the weight, everything. And when it comes down to what's going to be in your gear bag, they even share the same W series battery, same LCD screen. The viewfinder now in the A7, A7R is the one directly from the A99. So there are advantages. You do have Wi-Fi and NFC, as I mentioned, in this brand new body. So everything about the A7 is fantastic. But if you're an NEX user and you've been happy with your performance from APS-C censored cameras, stick with them. There's no reason for you to go full frame just because this came out first. And I feel like that is a compulsion that a lot of people are exhibiting right now, because they've been waiting so long to replace their NEX7, maybe not their NEX6, clearly has not been out anywhere near as long. And then along comes the A7, and it seems like it's close enough in price that you might start to wonder if an NEX7 Successor is even coming. But I assure you, there will be one. It's just a matter of how Sony's going to position the entire new Alpha APS-C sized mirrorless lineup. And since nothing has leaked and Sony's been really tight on that information, I can't really point you in any good direction right now. What I can just continuously remind you of is that the A7 is not meant, I mean, Sony would love it for you to upgrade from their NEX line to the A7. It puts you into a whole nother class of buyer that's got a lot more disposable income and is going to possibly earn them more money. But the reality is that they know that most of you E-mount users, original E-mount users, aren't looking to go up into this range, don't necessarily need the extra megapixels or the features or all of the manual controls. I mean, that's what instantly sets these apart at first glance. Forget the sensor size, just look at the controls. One mode dial, every dial you could possibly want, customizable. So there's just not a comparison. Even where the built-in viewfinder is, even though they both have the same standardized hot shoe, the viewfinder placement speaks far more to a professional setup, and that's what I'm going to continue to point to, is that the NEX lineup was never meant to be directed at professionals, although many professionals loved what it represented because of its ability to take on legacy glass and still provide incredible still and video quality. The A7 now just takes that into the full frame category. So the A7 is in no way a replacement for any NEX camera. Only upgrade to it if you're looking to get full frame image quality, which, if you're wondering what the difference is, take a look at some samples online. It's about depth of field. It's about making your pictures pop, look like they're 3D, because after all, you're getting that 4K resolution, which this camera can output raw to your 4K TV if you are so inclined or lucky to have one. And that's really the beauty of this next generation of mirrorless digital imaging. So the NEX brand may have been dropped, but it's coming back. Don't worry. If you're waiting for your successor, don't start selling all of your E-mount glass to move to the FE, because Sony, this is not planned obsolescence. This is not a brand they're throwing away. They didn't spend all this money to try to make you move to the A7, although the timing does, without a question, entice many buyers to do so. So that was really the goal of this video, not to really pit these two cameras against one another, because there's no question that the NEX6 really can't hold its own against the A7, especially when the A7 is paired with some great glass. I mean, these are just in entirely different worlds. But people are going to, especially NEX owners, continuously wonder if this is their next step. And quite frankly, unless you've outgrown your NEX cameras, you shouldn't be moving to the Alpha 7. That's really my opinion, unless money is of no object. And even then, it's still a very difficult argument to make, because this is more about what you need to actually have at your disposal than what you're happy with. Clearly, if you must move to the A7 because the NEX still offers an incredibly robust package, especially still in this form where at least Wi-Fi was on board and an electronic viewfinder that also was OLED based. Really one of the best mirrorless cameras ever. In fact, in my opinion, better than the OMD, simply based on the fact that you got a camera at a far more affordable price. I think that anyone who recommends the OMD at this point is a little bit cuckoo because, you know, you're going over that $1,000 threshold. Yes, it has great performance, but that's where I would already start looking at the A7 despite the lack of native glass right now, or wait for Sony's next generation of alpha-based APS-C cameras that are mirrorless, because remember, Sony's got quite a bit of vested interest in Olympus. So anyway, yet another update on the A7 and Sony's digital imaging business and where mirrorless is going. Hope all of you enjoyed. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.